Step right up to North of Normal, the podcast where the land of 10,000 lakes meets the edge of sanity. No two shows are the same because these clowns can't agree on anything. Same crew, never the same circus. Why North of Normal? These guys are so north, they're basically in Santa's outhouse. And so crazy, they make a moose in flops look sane. Say hello to the Chaos Crew. Mike Reeves, the guy who owns more shoes than Minnesota has state parks. A true romantic who can't decide between pizza or pizza for dinner. Matt Benz, the self-proclaimed Yoda of the group, with no social life because let's face it, bread never sleeps, and neither does he. Last, there's Greg Green Bay Bauman, the grizzled elder of the group, who majored in history, so no fact checks needed. Just ask the cholesterol bomb himself. Strap in, folks. This is North of Normal.
Let's go. We're here.
Sunday, Monday.
Happy days.
Episode
107.
107.
Why are you guys like fascinating with Happy Days this morning? Just like out of nowhere.
No, Mike is.
You were like singing it.
Because I'm in a good mood,
Oh.
Greg.
Just
Oh, because it's a happy day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're alive. That's
Oh,
good.
happy day. I mean, does that one make you feel better?
That does. I mean,
Okay.
there's context behind it.
You know,
my
you know,
God.
Jeez, I'm in a good mood. I get grilled. I'm in a bad mood. Grilled.
Should. Yeah.
I just didn't know if there was reasoning behind Happy Days, but now I see. Yeah, no, we're all good. Just want to make sure there wasn't like an announcement or something. We
I
had
didn't know if you were going to bought a leather coat recently or
Oh,
something.
I already own
a
one.
pot. Yeah, he's got like.
Leather,
A little
fur.
bomber, like with the little straps on the side.
I used to.
Funny thing about Henry Winkler,
Great.
his daughter went to the University of Wisconsin and graduated the same year as a bunch of my buddies. She's my age.
Sure.
So Henry Winkler was at the graduation that my buddy was at that I went to. He is incredibly short.
Really?
Well, I'm sure it is, but his
Like Drew Short.
Like between Drew and Matt.
average. His films though, all the stuff that he's done, that's one guy you should look at because it's like he was in so much of the good stuff. All of, like our childhood comedies he was in. It felt like
Well, he was in a lot of Adam Sandler.
I've been fun fact. You had that fun fact. I got another one for you.
Okay.
This is good. So something that's built with prisoners. Okay. There's like this chart. Okay. The biggest things that have been built by prisoners. All right. Number one.
Pyramids, Egypt.
License plates.
Nope. The Great Wall.
Okay.
That's number one.
Okay.
Number two.
Well, that was like 1,000 years.
Oh, yeah, but there's prisoners. you
Okay.
know. That's why they're buried, basically. Number two, St. Cloud Penitentiary
Oh, they built it.
by prisoners.
Would they stay in tents?
Granite, by granite stone. Like, I don't know how they did it, but that's just learned that.
The funny thing about that prison, because I go there
I go
once
back.
every quarter,
Yeah.
because they're a customer of ours,
Yeah.
is it doesn't look like any other prison in the state. I mean, and not
It's
that
Shawshank.
it does. It looks like Shawshank.
It
They
is.
still have the crow's nest.
I've only seen it from a distance, but it's creepy.
It's very creepy.
I mean,
When you
just-
go inside, you're like, okay, they did. I mean, it feels like they built it 300 years ago into the earth, and like it looks like
They literally had a quarry nearby to get the granite to build it. So it's literally just built from the earth there. But so wild.
damn. But to be a prisoner, that's like digging your own grave.
Yeah.
Before you get
Well,
shot, thrown
you're building
in.
your crib.
Well,
Yeah.
and they probably had to stay on site, still fenced in, and then just stayed on in tents.
Well, I don't
That would make sense.
Sure.
Yeah, you build the front fence around first.
Yep.
Keep them in, and like you said, build tents and stuff.
Yeah,
Cots-
we're not
cots-
shipping you off to another. That takes too much time.
Exactly.
You're going to stay on site. You're going to wake up. You're going to work.
Well, yeah, during that time, I'm pretty sure it was like a regional prison.
Well, yeah, and you can get your less offenders.
Put them on horses and put them in the carriages.
I'm going to hit you with a fun fact, and then we're going to get to Green Bay Greg Bauman for the episode title and the context behind it.
Let's hear it.
You guys fans of Applebee's?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's-
did you know about 80% of what you eat from Applebee's is microwaved?
oh yeah.
Well, yeah, of course.
Oh, of course.
Well, that's like when you go to a Mexican restaurant and your food's ready 30 seconds after you order it, and they're like, "Oh, it's a hot plate." So they just throw it on a plate and throw it in the microwave.
Well, a Mexican restaurant and just a normal restaurant.
Well, that's not necessarily.
I've worked in
plenty.
I've worked in plenty of restaurants,
Yes,
and it's all cooked on demand.
not chains. You've worked fast food.
No, never fast food.
You never worked fast food ever.
The reason I never did heroin was the same reason I never worked fast food. I felt like I was too good for it.
I was gonna say, I'm like, where are you going with this?
At
Yeah,
what age did you
I
have-
was-
Hold on.
I was
Hold
too-
on.
Yeah.
What age did you have your first job?
First job was 10th grade, Famous Dave's right down the road. No, it was a chain. Was it fast food? No. Worked with Mike Dean.
I mean, they don't microwave it, but at a chain like that, you're getting your product.
It's already
Basically, it's ready to rock and roll for the most part. Not the proteins, but I'm saying like your sides. It comes in that.
Yeah, your
bag.
pastas, your
know,
sides. But again, I would guess over 50% of the people out there had no idea.
No,
Oh yeah.
I mean, granted, Becky used to work at one, so I
I'm trying to
had an
think
idea.
what they would
I didn't
do.
know it was that high, but
Yeah.
Their steaks and their like burger they cook.
Yeah.
But all their pastas, all their sides, everything.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah.
80%. I found that out yesterday. I had to double check because I didn't believe it.
well, that's like when you find out that like a lot of even the nicer steak places, what's that called, the sommelier or whatever, where it looks like it's a thing, and you're boiling it, the meat
Sure.
for like 12 hours.
Sure.
And then it's ready. So when the order comes in, you just throw it on the grill for a minute on each side to give it that charred look. But yeah, that's interesting
Well,
because I never thought it was
in
that
past
high.
restaurants that I've been at, especially for pastas, you would boil a bunch of pasta at once, and then you'd portion it into baggies, right? And then you would have it rolled up so the pasta's all basically dry and like sticky. You'd add a little water, throw it in the nuke in that plastic bag, and then it would be warmed up, and you'd be able to build your pasta from there. Just quicker on the line.
But yeah, that's just
But
being
still.
that's being efficient.
Yeah. Applebee's, baby. Riblet basket, 2 for $20.
All right, Greg.
All right. So, well, first of all, I have to get
Oh,
I have to get pissed off at Mike real quick.
yes.
So
My favorite.
Mike did something. So for those of you who might not know, first of all, Mike's getting married in less than 2 months.
Whoop, whoop.
Matt is one of the illustrious groomsmen. Mike has asked me to fulfill the same role that he did at my wedding, which is be the officiant. That's not what pisses me off. What pisses me off is, and I talked to Mike about this, so this isn't not blindsiding him. I'm blindsiding Matt.
Oh, no.
On the website for Mike and Chantel's wedding, Mike does a little brief bio of all of his groomsmen, and included me on it. I'm very appreciative of that. But in it, he says, Greg is really good with the one-liners, so it'll be entertaining, which sounds flattering, except for the fact that you have to understand what it's like to be someone like that.
Yeah.
See, someone like me never walks into a room and just says, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" My mind is already thinking. I already have a Rolodex in my head of possible scenarios and funny one-liners or quips that would be a reaction to the funny thing that has never happened.
I feel that.
Now, add in the element of 200 people are going to be expecting me to be like this. My Rolodex of quips and one-liners has to be like 10 times of what it normally is.
Well, plus you carry 2 roles.
Yes,
not just Pastor Greg Bauman, but MC Greg.
Yeah, which I'm getting practice for today. I decided to be the MC at the pig races and meat raffle that the youth football is doing for a fundraiser. So they asked me to be the MC for it. Actually, let me rephrase that. They asked if I would volunteer. I said, as long as I can be the MC. So,
You got to get those reps in, man. It's
Yeah.
great.
You
Good
do.
for you.
Yeah,
Good for
so-
you. Training starts today.
training starts
It's all
today.
about. Yep. I started training my whole life for this moment.
What does that have to do with the straw man?
Here we go. So the straw man argument, for those of you who don't know what the straw man argument is, it occurs in our society about 100 times more often than you think. Here's the definition of it.
Okay.
A straw man argument is an informal fallacy where someone distorts, exaggerates, or misrepresents an opponent's argument to make it easier to attack. Now, having said that, one came up this week that I wanted to bring up. And then I'm going to bring up one because this one's going to piss off 10% of the population because this issue only is supported by 10% of the population. The other one's going to piss off everyone because I believe both sides are guilty of it.
Blindside me, kid.
The first one, the whole trans issue.
Sure.
Not trans as a society, not trans as taking the rights away from trans people, which, by the way, no rights have ever been taken away from trans people.
Sure.
It's the idea of women or men in women's sports.
Yes.
Megan Rapinoe, who's one of the best female soccer players of all time, who's become an outspoken advocate for the trans movement, says there is no scientific evidence that men are better than women at sports. And what I would like to say to that is, you are 100%, Megan, and no one has ever said it. They weren't. That is not part of the argument.
Right.
It is not part of it. What she did was she said, how can I get more support for this argument?
Yeah.
Here's what I'll do. I'll say that their argument is saying that men are better at sports than women. And there's no sense. No, it's not. We're saying that it's unsafe for a genetically larger human being, a male, to play in a sport with females who are biologically smaller. That is scientific proof.
So would we call her a straw woman?
No, a straw they. But no, my point is, this happens all the time in society.
Sure.
Happens in every argument. In fact, when my wife and I got into a discussion, she made an innocent comment and I snapped because my ex-wife is guilty of doing it all the time.
Sure.
It's the phrase, well, everybody says. Using absolute, no, everybody does not say.
Sure.
In fact, when I would confront my ex-wife on it, I'd be like, name me one other fucking person.
Yeah.
And it was like, but, Becky said it as a throwaway thing. She
Yeah.
wasn't even applying the same thing. It's just that triggered me.
Yeah.
But my point is that the best way to get more support for your argument is to make your argument something that it's not, or make the other side something that it's not.
Right.
Here's the one issue that everybody is guilty of, the abortion issue. Pro-life versus pro-choice, neither one of those are true.
Right.
Pro-choice, you tell 99% of women playing sports right now that it's their body, their choice. They would say, okay, if it's my body, my choice, I don't want to play sports with a genetically larger human being who has a higher chance of hurting me.
Yeah.
And pro-life, same thing. Pro-life is not pro-life. Most people who would take the pro-life side are completely pro the death penalty. The argument is actually pro-birth. One side believes that every egg that meets a sperm that turns into, a fetus deserves the right to be born. What you do with that life is your own choice. The other side is pro-abortion. Say what it is. You either support a woman's right to have an abortion, period, end of conversation, and end of sentence, or you don't.
And then the straw man would simply be, well, what about if I get raped?
Yes. And 99.8% of pregnancies are not,
Of course.
capital N, capital O, capital T, a result of rape, incest, or the health of the mother.
Right.
Yeah.
And no one would disagree about any of those terms.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? When it comes down to the health of the baby, the mother, a horrible decision, like, has to be made. That's a whole separate issue, but they just try to put it under the same umbrella.
Yeah, because then you can get more support.
Yeah, and that just goes along with everything. It's just that's what I'm realizing is I clung during COVID to like a side, right? Like politically, I clung to a side because it felt like competition. You know what I mean? It really did. It felt like who knows best. It wasn't that side had a good point or I had a good point or I could agree with this. No, it's this team versus that team. Green Bay against Minnesota. It's just that's what it was. And then you just slowly start to realize and take a step back and look at the whole picture for what it is and just see like, okay, in our past presidents, you see what happens. It flops back and forth throughout time as it gets too far to one extreme. And then nothing fucking changes. There are no arrests. There are no repercussions. They announce things. There's all this evidence, and we just keep going to work. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is.
I feel like you guys were on the side of the arrests are coming.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, I was on the side of no war. I was on the side of America first. I was on the side of safe voting. I was on the side of so many other things. Yeah. None of it.
No, and I sent that reel. Greg and I talked about it the other day. Just a different perspective. You know, a lot of what's going on, we never know, right? They're calculating and doing way more things, and it just, whether it's true or not, that is putting America first. You know, with the oil, because we have all the reserves. We're, you know, kind of putting the halt on what's going on over there, so we can take over production from everybody else.
Well,
it's a long play.
Yeah, and I was talking to my older brother about this, who leans to the left.
Yeah,
but I don't think that anybody in the mainstream media or in popular podcasts have actually hit on one of the main reasons why we're over there. And I was telling you this is, I think it has a lot to do with Trump. And I don't think this is why people are dying. I don't think this is the extent of why we're dropping thousands of bombs. I think it's an argument that hasn't been brought up is we are responsible for 90% of NATO's budget. And this is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, an organization that was essentially founded after World War II about, okay, we want to keep peace in the world. We're the good guys and we want to be the police of the world. Well, the United States spends 90% of the budget, and all the other countries are in the European North, that area. So why are we spending so much money if we're not getting anything out of it?
Correct.
And on top of it, the one thing we are getting out of it, oil, the countries that are benefiting from NATO aren't supporting us. I think this is Trump's way of saying, look, if you guys aren't going to play along, we only get 20% of our oil from the Middle East. Yeah. Western Europe, so you're talking the United Kingdom, France,
80-70%.
They get like 80% of theirs. So I think Trump is saying like, hey, you guys are going to be part of this, or bye-bye, and we're going to become isolationists.
But then you got like last night. Okay, so last night the announcement comes forward that like Trump, like the war in Iran is done, and that the strait is going to be open now. They're not going to shut it. All these things that were supposedly ironed out overnight. And it's just like, sure, if it benefits us, yes, but it's about understanding that the American people for the last 6 years are just grinding. In one way, shape, or form, you're just grinding. And it's about, we were promised relief. We were promised instant relief. Basically, he was only talking about ending wars, which he started to do and created a good track record. And I was like, first 100 days, I was like, let's go. Like, this is okay. And now all of a sudden it's like, what? Gas prices are what? Diesel's $5 a gallon. Store pricing's not going down. Medical prices is not going down. Like all of these things that the American public just needs. They need just a reprieve so we can stop being at each other's necks. But then regardless, Trump's the president, so you won't get a reprieve.
And basically everything he ran on, he's contradicted.
Yep. Well, I wouldn't say everything. I mean,
well, a lot of the stuff, all of his promises.
Well, the number one was secure borders and immigration control, which he's done. Sure. He's been doing. When he's getting the number two, he did talk a lot about removing the fentanyl supply into America, and I think we forget because that happened so quick that he went in, overthrew the dictator in Venezuela.
That was for fentanyl and for oil.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. I could understand all of those moves. But then once you get into the, sloppy ice plan, and then you get into firing Kristi Noem, and then you get into the sloppy Epstein plan and the sloppy Epstein results, and then firing Pam Bondi, and you just have all of this shit. Right? Like all of this, like red tape, it could be red tape. It could be people that they thought they could trust that they couldn't, but it's politics. It's always about one person blaming the other that they can't get through this. It's because of the left.
Well, the sloppy ice play wasn't sloppy. It was here.
No,
and it wasn't as a result of Trump or ICE. It was a result of Karens.
No, I understand.
The result of Tim Walz.
Sure. But I'm also in St. Paul all the time in the middle of the night. It was the middle of winter. They could have gone in at night. You could have realized that it's less active. You're going to get less protesters. More people aren't going to be there. But it was like, I don't know. It's almost like they at the beginning, it felt like they were just like, oh, we're here and we're gonna. And I get it, like, but it doesn't have to be like a taunting. It can be like a military operation.
Do you think it started taunting, or they just got sick of the bullshit?
Oh, I think they. Don't get me wrong. It's like a police officer. I could not do the job. I was a criminal. They saved my life. I get it. I couldn't do it. The antagonizing, the seeing the same faces all the time. I get that. But it's just like, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
You know what I
You're
mean?
just taking a different side from it.
This was
different
just
perspective.
This was simply the result of Tim Walz and the administration in Minnesota not keeping the illegal aliens who were convicted of a crime in jails and then immediately calling ICE and saying, hey, we got so-and-so here. He's an illegal. Come get him.
Yeah.
It's Minnesota wouldn't do that. It's the reason why this doesn't happen in other states.
Right.
Because they keep their prisoners. And Minnesota used to do this. Yeah. I know this for a fact because I was in jail, in a county jail. That was an ICE supported thing. And I had no idea what they were doing there. But they said, no, they stay here. And then at some point, when they have a flight going to wherever and they have enough people to book it, they come in, they swoop them up, and they send them down to Mexico or wherever they're from.
Yeah. I think it's crazy. So yesterday I got a letter in the mail, and I don't know how long ago, 4 years, 3 years ago, we applied to get expunged.
Oh, I got that email the other day too.
Yeah, so I got a letter yesterday, and it said it was from Keith Ellison himself, and it said that unfortunately, with federal budget cuts, we are unable to proceed with this.
They shut it down.
So they shut it all down. And Ellison said it was because of budget cuts, not because of the rampant fraud and the billions of dollars that are gone. And it's not about that. So it's just like,
Well, at least you got a letter. I got an email.
Oh, you'll get it. I bet you'll read it today. Watch. But it's just, that's a lot. That's a lot of that. Let's talk some sports. There's so much good sports.
I did wear my Timberwolves.
You did. We'll start there. NBA playoffs underway. Timber Puppies tonight.
Now, they start today.
Well, the play-in started. So
That's not the playoffs.
Even ESPN doesn't refer to it as playoffs because
it's the play-in.
March Madness has play-ins, and that's when it starts.
Did you guys know that no matter in the play-in, that those stats don't go on your permanent record or even in your season record? So you could score 100 points and it will never show up on your stats.
Really?
Yeah, they're talking about that this week.
That's so sweet.
So it's a game that doesn't count.
Yeah. All right. So you were talking.
Yeah, Timberwolves are this afternoon, followed by the Wild.
Yeah.
Wild are 4. Timber Pups are 2:30.
Okay.
You don't have Amazon Prime.
What do you do? Just download, get the free trial.
Well, what I don't understand is even if I think most people who have Amazon Prime don't even realize that there's a streaming option.
No. But
they just have it for the packages.
The other thing too is every local market should still show the game on over-air TV.
Not this year.
They're not doing it this year.
No,
cut it out.
Which is why. But no.
I mean, you think like
streaming
ABC,
giant.
Yeah, they've been talking about like local radio is like how crazy it is.
Yeah.
Like, and I think the NFL did that too, but it was the same thing with these Amazon contracts where it's like, you're just SOL.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're not going to pay billions of dollars for a Thursday night football game and then give, viewership to a local NBC affiliate.
How it used to be like simulcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But that's back in the day when the programming was still owned by one of the networks.
Right.
And they owned like NBC
basically
was part of the NFL network,
and
ABC is owned by ESPN or Disney or whatever. But
the shitty part about the NBA playoffs and even the NHL playoffs is that we have juggernauts to go through. Denver and Dallas. Both teams that are
Dallas
for the Wild.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, they're a Stanley Cup favorite. Jokic is always Jokic and Murray, always
Tough.
favorite.
Well,
Jokic has been hot.
I bet you that Dallas feels the same way about Minnesota that Minnesota feels about that. Not Dallas, Denver.
Yep.
Because on one hand, you have the old giant with the MVP, and then now in Minnesota, you have the team that was essentially built to beat them.
Right.
And they did.
it's had their number.
Yeah, and their Timberwolves GM is the former assistant in Denver.
Yep.
So I think it's a great storyline because
it is.
they face each other every year. One year Denver wins, the next year Minnesota wins. Now it's kind of like that rubber match.
It's going to be interesting. That's for sure.
I tell you what, watching a Wolves playoff game, and this says something about the difference between the NBA and the NFL. A Wolves playoff game gets me hyped like a Vikings regular season game.
Really?
Like I remember last year watching the play, and I'm a nutcase during football games.
Yeah, you're.
So I'm a nutcase.
You can't take it.
But it doesn't, like you would think playoffs should be a level above, whereas it kind of meets more in the middle. Because I don't regular season Timberwolves basketball game, I'm not.
Ugh.
Well, no, I enjoy it, but there's so many games that it really doesn't matter.
If you win the I'll tell you why you feel that way. If you win the NBA championship, how many games in the playoffs do you have to win? 16.
Yeah.
If in a football season, how many games are there?
Yeah.
17. So you get hyped for the same amount of times.
Right.
You have that emotional amount of investment that you can make.
Sure.
I like that. Yeah,
But
that's good.
okay, next sport. Can I?
Yeah.
I heard the.
This is about curling.
No, it's not about curling. It's even worse. It is the funniest story I found this week. WNBA. So who was the number one pick in the WNBA draft last year?
Asia? Was she?
Well, last year.
No, our girl.
Paige Beckers.
Buckets. Yeah.
Local girl, Paige Beckers, proved that she is a stud, one of the best in the league. This year, the team that she plays for, Dallas, just don't say anything. The team she plays for drafted with their first pick a teammate of hers from Connecticut. I forgot what her name is. They won a national championship together. They show Paige Beckers when they draft her. She's going nuts. Yeah. Why is she so crazy? Because they're great teammates. They're great friends. Oh, wait, they're dating each other, which is something that has never happened in sports.
Wow.
At least because here's the thing, and this is where this isn't the strawman argument, but this is how it easily turns into the strawman argument. Because most of the people would say, that's cool. That's an interesting storyline. That's great. Women out there, women power, all that is absolutely true. Yeah. You're not the GM who, if you guys have a spat or an argument the way two guys could, the way men and women do every fucking day, it's his job on the line. If all of a sudden, and I'm not saying
where was she drafted?
What's that?
What number?
I think it was one overall. I think it was one overall.
Oh, so both of them are ballers.
Yeah, they're both number one pick.
Yeah. Okay. I knew it was top 2 or 3, but I'm
pretty sure.
And I'm not saying like women are more catty or petty than men, because men would be 10 times worse. I'm saying that this GM had to make a decision that nobody else would care about, but nobody else, if they know how to do that job, would want to do.
I think the GM, if I'm thinking like him, he realized Paige is your face, so you do whatever she wants, and she wanted it. I bet he also was like,
when was the draft?
Last week.
I bet
earlier this week.
I bet he was also like, just know the first sign of any drama, I'm shipping.
Yeah.
I'm shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll get a second round pick for it.
A Z Fudd.
Yeah. Sounds right.
I just he was number. Yeah, UConn.
Yeah.
I just thought it was an interesting dynamic.
Oh, it's a crazy dynamic.
But it's fun to pay attention to because not because you're cheering for bad cheer, because I think it could be a really freaking cool story.
It could be.
It's not like a husband and wife going into business together, because the husband and wife are the ones who are taking on the liability. It's they've
played together before though, so they obviously have a track record with how they can,
Oh, they mesh very well. Yeah. We talked about, I got a lot of grief about the WNBA in the past on this show. And, from a business marketing standpoint, I'm going to give them 2 claps, because for marketing, it's genius.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I love it.
Do you think the announcer will, the Scissor Sisters?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Of course not.
You mean I don't know if they could be announced together and walk out holding hands. That might
no,
happen.
they won't. They're professionals.
Yeah,
I think like I would probably watch a game to see if
The kiss or something.
just like it's there.
Oh,
you know,
great stuff.
yeah, like
Trophy?
are they just like holding hands on the sideline?
I don't think so. I think they already won it.
And they weren't doing anything like
But I don't know. But I mean, it's none of our business. I don't know when they started dating. They could have just been teammates.
It's already
if I was gay, played football with my guy, like
Yeah.
way too much WNBA talk. Back to playoffs.
Whoa, that's
hockey. The Minnesota Wild against the Dallas Stars. I talked about it a little bit. Mikey could give a shit. He might actually
win, baby.
Quinn Hughes will be back for game 1. That's huge. That was announced yesterday.
Yeah, heard it. Read all about it.
Yeah. And then who's the starting goalie? The Wall of St.
Mike
Paul.
Bonanno.
The Wall of St. Paul. You love that name.
And that's a great
It's
nickname.
beautiful. We're ready.
Do you guys want to hear?
I will probably just tune in a little bit. It's dependent on who plays basketball.
lying.
Do you guys want to know one of the most famous phrases when describing a goalie is when a goalie's doing well? What do the announcers always say? No, brick wall, or he was standing on his head.
Yes.
That phrase comes up a lot.
Love that.
You know where that phrase came from? So there was a gentleman, Matt will probably know his name is Calder. Does that sound familiar?
Calder Award, so the award's named after.
Okay, so he was the guy who came up with the rules for hockey when they first did it. When he was writing the rules, there was a committee of people around, and they were like, okay, guys can't do this, guys can't do that. And they were like, okay, the goalie, can they lay down? Can they go to their knees? Can they do this? And Calder openly said in a room full of people, I don't give a shit if he stands on his head. And that then became the phrase that,
Of course.
yeah. So
But most people will just think about it as like, as a goalie, flip that goalie upside down. You would, think about the dexterity, the leg pads. You'd have nowhere to shoot. You know what I mean? You take up the whole net. But sure, even back in the day, you'd have like Jimmy Craig stacking the pads because they had so little equipment that they would just take them in the grill.
yeah,
You know? The old goalies with no teeth.
when they wear the Jason mask.
Legend. That's why hockey's getting it's gradually picking up more and more steam as baseball gets slower. Although baseball made some changes this season, a lot of people are liking it with the strike zone challenges. Now,
Although they're coming in to adjust that now.
well, sure they will. They'll tweak it, but I'm
Yeah.
saying like you get guys that will challenge it and they just took a strike right down the gut and they go to the monitor and you can see it. It's like right down the middle, and they're
Yeah.
just like, you just wasted our challenge on that. You know what I mean? But then
So the player can challenge.
yeah, but you only have so many
Okay.
challenges, and then it goes to the visual electronic strings,
Okay.
So it's cool, but
I've not watched a single baseball game this year.
Twins are doing well.
Well,
No,
yeah, I went to a game last year.
I will not pay anything to watch the Twins or go there
I
until
will.
they sell the team. And they're doing
Always on strike.
the shitty part is this is such Minnesota shit, is like the team has such a low payroll. They're playing with fucking a bunch of youth and they're projected to be so horrible and they're first in the AL right now.
Yeah.
It's just like that's Minnesota sports.
Yeah.
You just prove and then you slowly get hype and then sure enough people will start coming. It's like we just gotta put a good
I do
product.
like going to a good ball game though.
Yeah,
But the Saints, that
I
club's
do.
stacked.
Yeah, I went to a game a couple years ago. It was late in the season, me, Becky, and the kids, and it was the 7th inning. And the kids have never been into baseball because I've never really gotten them into it
Yeah.
because it's a boring sport.
Slow.
I was into it,
So it's chess.
which Connor's really into.
I bet.
That's fun.
Strategy.
But my point is, at 7th inning, I started to get the kids hyped up because Joe Ryan was on the mound. It was the end of the season.
It's like-
There was like 3 or 4 games left. No, I'm sure there was about 2 weeks left.
Yeah.
Twins were already on the playoffs.
No.
And Joe Ryan was pitching a no-hitter, and I was trying to get the kids hyped up to explain to them how rare that is,
Yeah.
the uniqueness of it, and what does fucking Rocco Baldelli do going into the 9th? He pulled them.
At like 80 pitches.
Yeah, and it was like, you're out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's a fireable offense.
Yeah,
It
it's,
is.
and it's you. I mean, and the thing is, it's like No, you have one storyline. You can fire people up for the rest of the season.
Yep.
But he was such a Polad, a Polad like
Well, that's just
disciple.
Yeah.
You know,
and he's always been an analytics guy. Like he lives and dies by the freaking software. It's like baseball. I get it. I've seen Moneyball. I understand analytics, but I also understand like if a guy's hot, he's batting 200, but that doesn't justify everything. There's so many different variables.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
yeah, I get it. It's like he's going to get out of his slump, but you have no factual evidence that he's going to get out of his slump today. And in this moment,
Yeah.
I could use a guy who's not in a slump.
yeah, I think they're right around 10 wins right now, and I would still project them to end with less than 6.
Yeah, I think they're like
I think
10
they'll
and
just
7
start
or something.
burning. You'll just start to smell the trash.
Yeah, the Saints are a good game to go to when I go deeper with the family, when it's just like the one kid and I.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about this the other day. And this was pre-Saints being
Good.
part of the Twins.
Yeah, the
farm.
Yeah, the farm.
Yeah, I just was I think I got a memory on Facebook of the three of us.
Yeah.
I can't believe I was able to pull off press passes for a season
That was fun.
with the St. Paul.
2 seasons. The second season we just didn't go.
We didn't go, but yeah, we were
Yeah.
two.
Was
We
there
were.
COVID? Is that why we didn't go?
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. I just think we went once,
Yeah.
experienced it, got on the field, got to do interviews. Like
Yeah.
we were press for the Saints,
Of course.
but it's like whoever gave me those press passes should have probably been fired.
Well,
'Cause they didn't do any research on
because
us, on the show.
And
We've
you
never
know how-
talked Saints.
you know how I know that they didn't do any research or that we didn't do any homework to prepare. I love you more than any other human being that's ever walked on the earth. But you asked the dumbest question in the history of
On the
interviews.
field. What'd you-
On the field. We're out there. They let us interview 3 of the players, and Mike's first question was, "So, you guys excited for the Twins taking over the Saints next year?" And the guy goes,
No.
"Well, we're all going to be out of a job. They're going to bring in their own people."
I think I just went right into the next questions, and I kind of hit him with a couple easy ones. Oh my!
And I was like,
whoops.
"Shit, that's right. That's the one aspect of this whole purchase that we didn't
Culture's
think about.
changing.
They're going to have different people."
Oh yeah, culture's changed. Get with it or die.
But honestly, my first thought was, I'm glad I didn't ask that question
It's interesting.
because I was probably ready to.
Last time Mikey played ball at a softball with a couple brewskis in his hand.
Kickball lost in the championship.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Wow. I am undefeated in adult kickball in recovery groups, and then I just retired.
It's good. We
Yeah,
won
you
one
need
the
to
next
stay
year.
out. Yeah, you need to stay out.
Oh, I'll be back this summer. I was a little. I had it. What?
Thick?
Kicking?
No, thick. You were a little thick.
No. Well, yeah.
Yeah, you were thick.
But volleyball, I missed this year. First year I've missed volleyball in probably 5 years.
So,
Yeah.
I'm just
In the
waiting
tournament.
for Achilles, ACL, MCL.
That
I
day.
mean, dude.
I'm going to be in the best shape of my life.
You know what I just realized?
Yeah.
No.
You already forgot.
No, okay.
No,
I was trying to think if this was the first time, but it's not, that the 3 of us all have ages in different decades. But that would have happened when we first met.
Sure.
Because I'm 50, you're 40, and you're 35.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that would have happened when we first met. Because you would have still been in your 20s,
I
you
was
were in
just
your
thinking about
30s.
that today. It's fine. Fine.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, so what was the Brady Bunch?
Yeah.
The
Which I named after the kids, by the
what
way.
was the woman that worked for them in the
Alice.
show? Alice.
Alice.
How old was Alice on the show?
Oh, this
I'm
is-
100% sure she's probably in her 30s.
Yes.
Which is
She's like
sickening.
30s or 40s, but when you look at Alice, she looks like she's 58.
Yeah.
And last night we're watching the Laguna Beach reunion
Oh,
on the Roku channel.
Okay.
They've been pushing out the press for it, blah, blah, blah.
Got
So-
Mikey and Shan.
We're like, oh, Laguna?
right up there.
Whatever. It was the biggest waste of our time.
Yeah.
We hated it.
Sure.
But then you look at them and it's like, They graduated in 2004. I graduated in 2003.
What?
So they're 1 year younger, and it's like,
Oh, I mean,
40's the new 20.
Well, yeah. I mean, you guys are too young, but there was a movie in the 80s that came out called Cocoon, and it was a movie about old people who, were like ready to die, and then there's alien this, and they get all of this rejuvenated life, but they're all old people.
Yeah.
Wilford Brimley, the Quaker Oats guy, was the number one character. He was 46 years old when they made that movie. I'm 50.
Yeah.
I just turned fucking 50 last week.
And your kids think you're 80.
My kids think I'm
That's what I'm
80.
saying.
Yeah.
Isn't that? But we did too.
Yeah.
like, yeah. I remember my dad was 35. It's just
Yeah, I look at my pictures when I was, our kids' age.
Yeah.
And I see my parents.
Yep.
And it's like, God, they were just so young.
Mhm.
But I looked at them like they were fossils.
you're
Yep.
the same age as LeBron James.
Yeah.
Look at what he looks like.
Yeah, but okay, that's safe for Mike because LeBron James is still a professional athlete. Regardless of how his skills have declined, he's still one of the best
Still
couple
the-
hundred basketball players in the world.
Sure.
He's not in the top 10 anymore, but he's still in the top 100.
Yeah.
I'm
Still deserves to be playing.
50. Let me explain this to you.
50.
50.
You're
You know what that means?
halfway done.
Wait,
Right?
my grandpa died when he was 72. My dad died when he was 69.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Borrowed time right now.
You've been in the clinic way more than either of them. I'll tell you that right now.
Actually, the funny thing is, my grandpa had his triple bypass, five bypass surgery when he was younger than I am right now.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, you'll be half Greg, half bot.
Oh, yeah.
By the time you're starting to go, they'll just throw in a mechanical
We
lid.
got enough hours to do online. I can just ask questions. I'll just be able to upload.
Oh yeah, I can.
Oh, yes. That was a good show too. Upload.
First season.
First season was.
I just got done watching a show this morning.
Yeah.
I had to finish it because Becky refused to keep watching it with me.
Yeah.
Because she saw the end. And it was a cheesy Netflix show called Wildfire.
Yeah.
About a horse race, ex-con girl, blah blah blah.
Oh,
But it was like I got done with the show this morning, and I wanted to get it done before Becky got back in town.
Yeah.
And if I could sum up the show in a minute, it's whoever wrote the show wrote the finale first, and then had to fill in the plot line.
Yeah.
It's like ex-con girl who worked with horses last episode marries the son of the rival, stable, and her horse that she rescued in episode 1 comes back to win the big thing at the end. It's like,
owns the other dudes.
yeah, and so it's like everything just fell into place. And it's like I'm glad that show's over.
I know neither of you listened to me. This weekend, I will be adding back onto our package MGM Plus, and that has your From on it.
From
From. So From it actually has a character from Lost.
which one?
The black guy.
Like Michael or
Yeah,
okay,
Michael's dad. The kid's dad.
That's Michael.
Oh, that's his name.
Walter's the kid.
Big Mike.
Walt is the kid.
Michael.
Okay.
Michael's one of the main characters in From. It has a lot of lost deals. It is a horror type show. It takes so much out of you, you can't binge.
I don't like it.
Good.
I like that.
I like it.
It's so good.
It's like
So good. You have to.
okay, that's your rec. I got one too.
Okay.
There you go. From. My rec is for you to go on YouTube. I know it's weird, but give me a second.
I didn't say a word.
Bob Does Sports is the golf channel that I watch, right? With the three guys.
I like him.
They had
Bob's a good guy.
LeBron on.
Yeah.
And I watched that episode and I changed my mind on how I feel about LeBron.
You like him.
I can definitely tolerate him now because you see a completely different side of him and you get to see him just with the boys
Yeah.
and like not excel at golf because he's just started.
Sure.
It's not good.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, watch that this weekend. It's
I've
like
had
an hour
numerous
and a half.
people send me the clips because
Watch the whole app. Yeah, the app is great.
I will definitely do that.
That is a good watch, even with Caveman.
Yeah.
Because just to see him with the guys. And just to see these guys who, if you look 5 years ago, like they had this similar, like this, you know, this is where they started. And now they have a warehouse, Bob HQ in Florida, where he's just making like a fun house where they can just watch the Masters and live stream.
If we were all 15 years younger and we started this
15 years young. I'm in my prime right now, boys.
I'm saying I don't have the wherewithal to build.
I started this. We started a decade ago. Damn near.
Remember our first
We
podcast?
started over COVID.
Yeah.
Basically.
No,
A
you
little
and,
right
before.
before.
you and I started when we were still in treatment.
But yeah.
You guys are still fucking.
And I started before that with the Reeves and Roach.
Yeah, 'cause you and I
podcast. That was
you
the
and I
video.
you and I did 3 episodes in the conference room of the treatment center, and then did 2 episodes in your room.
In my room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was able to convince staff that I'm going to need this conference room for this pod I'm starting.
And the funny thing was, the owners, who are huge golfers,
Yeah.
all they cared about was that we would reference golf at some point.
Which I did. Yeah, I was coming up with the games back then.
Yep.
I'd have other contestants on.
Yeah, you brought in like people to and Bama
Yeah.
to come in and
Great guy.
yeah. You brought in people just to quiz against me. Yeah.
I got a closing question. Which would you rather have? The green jacket from winning the Masters or the gold jacket for the NFL Hall of Fame?
I'd rather have the green jacket just because I feel like they are handing out gold jackets like they're Halloween candy.
If it was 20 years ago, I'd say the green jacket in a second.
Okay.
I would go with the gold now.
Okay.
Because I think it's more or less because of how I would relate to the people to getting it on. I'm 50. 50-year-olds get gold jackets. When I was 30-year-olds get green jackets.
Sure.
So
All I'm saying is I would rather have the green jacket. Why? Because I believe that a lot of sports Hall of Fames have lost their selection in the class that it would be, you know, being more picky. But also with the green jacket, you get to play every year.
Yeah.
You're always
And-
invited back.
yeah,
and
you
that's
could just
you're
go
gonna make
whenever.
money. You make the cut. You know, that's a check every year.
Yeah.
So I figure like you see like what's dude that played, he's old.
Phil Mickelson,
No, Phil was out. I don't think he'll play, but it's
Arnold Palmer.
wow, no.
Oh, yeah,
but anyways, one of the old timers was there. He made the cut. I think he was like top 20. You know, that's
are you
still-
talking about Tom Watson?
no, it was
'Cause he's in it every year.
else. Player, Gary Player.
Gary Player's like 85 years
Yeah,
old.
no, he's
Tom Watson's like 64, 65.
Anyways, okay, but he was still in his like high 60s, low 70s, and he, you know, won a big bag of cash.
Yeah.
But not only that, but you just think of like the illustrious line of people that have won it.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
it's just cool. I do have a green jacket, so I should have gone with the gold.
we got a gold medal, a green jacket.
Yeah, when I was in
You're set.
and I was an ambassador for the chamber of the Shakespeare Chamber. Billy from Bill's Toggery,
Oh, yeah, Billy.
very
Shout out.
involved in that chamber.
Yep.
And so what they do as an ambassador group, once you become an ambassador, you go down to Bill's Toggery and you get fitted for the green jacket. So when you go to different events, ribbon cuttings, coffee hours, whatever,
Clean.
you put on the green jacket so people know I mean business. I'm an ambassador.
Nice.
And you get to keep it.
Have you ever seen the show Eastbound and Down?
Heard of it.
Heard of it, haven't watched
Next
it.
time you watch it, just think of Mike. That's what we'll close on. Well, I think that's a good way to end it. But just remember that.
Think
All
of
right. Golly jeepers, it's perfect.
Oh!